Welcome to the WTF Show podcast from Bangkok, Thailand. Presented by Vimol Kogar. Tune in to get your dose of weekly verbal Red Bull.
Hey, boys and girls. Welcome to the WTF Show today. We have Surasit Sachdev. He is co-founder at Thailand's top startup called Hungry Hub. Welcome to the show, Surasit.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Surasit, tell me a little bit about your past.
Born in Thailand, grew up in Thailand, did my undergrad in Australia, worked in Bangkok for a year, lived in Singapore for 2 years, did my MBA in Thailand, and then, exchange in the US, and now running my startup for the last 7 years.
So tell us about your startup, Surasit. What is it about?
Hungry Hub is currently, in today's version, exclusive dining deal platform in Thailand.
Okay, what does that mean, exclusive dining deals?
So in simple words, we basically have all the exclusive deals in town. Like we turn a la carte restaurants into all-you-can-eat promotions. But majority of our deal are around fixed price promotion. So we let diners know how much you're going to spend before entering any restaurants on our platform.
So what you're saying is if I like the expensive French restaurant and I might spend anywhere between $1,000, that's $30 to maybe $200, you're saying that with Hungry Hub, I can maybe eat as much as I want and I make a deal with Hungry Hub and therefore with the restaurant at a fixed price. Is that it?
Correct. So we work with the restaurant to create this exclusive deal. Then the diner has a choice whether or not they want to book a table with us using this deal. So we create a attractive deal that is beneficial to the restaurant and attractive to the customer, basically in short.
Tell me, how was this company Hungry Hub born? How did you conceptualize it? Who helped you build it? What was the mission statement?
When we started Hungry Hub 7 years ago, it was a simple online table reservation system. There's no such thing as a mission at that point, no vision. It was a simple thing as I wanted to start some company. A young man just worked his way up in the bank, got promoted every year, thought I can do anything, but coming to run or start a company with no clear vision and failed in the first 2 years. So that was version 1 of Hungry Hub. That was basically where I really decided that whether or not to continue the company. And that was when I got the clear vision or mission of doing this, you can so-called version 2 of Hungry Hub, which is this exclusive dining deal. And today's my mission is basically to help restaurants bring in sustainable revenue through fixed price offerings to customers, right? So that's our mission that we want to drive. And our vision is to help at least 10,000 restaurants in the next 5 years generate at least $1 billion through our platform. So that's our vision today.
So version 1 of Hungry Hub, you mentioned, was a struggle. Basically, you left your cushy job at the bank and you said to yourself, I'm going to start this startup. Like all young people who want to have their own startup, you've actually done relatively well. A lot of people give up on their startups in the first and second year. Tell me a little bit about the struggles. What were the personal struggles you had to endure?
So first things first, I didn't have a team. I lived abroad. Since I graduated from high school, I lived abroad 5 years, pretty much almost straight, except for 1 year in between when I was working in Thailand. So I didn't have the network, the connection to build the startup. I had an idea since 2011 to build Hungry Hub, but I decided after exploring multiple options, I decided to do my MBA school, which was where I formed the team to build Hungry Hub. And that was also the time where I got a chance to do a business plan competition. So I got to experience the 1 year of running another startup. So I got the experience of starting, talking to investors, which I thought could be useful to Hungry Hub anyway. So when I started Hungry Hub with my co-founders, which I thought would be full-time, after running it for 3 to 6 months, they all had family business or they had other jobs that they had to do. So I had to run this whole company alone.
Basically, they bailed out on you.
Yeah, in the first few months, which was something that was unprepared for, right? And yeah, I mean, the first year was about building supply. But once we built the supply, we thought, okay, it's ready. We have about 100 restaurants. Let's call the medias, create an event, a press release. And the next day, we're going to have 50,000 downloads and the business is going to start to take off. That was our plan. And we did the whole media, PR and everything. And we had some people writing it on their press release or in their media channel. But the next day, nothing happened. It was the same day as the day before. And we just spent 400,000 baht on that whole event and press and media, right? Which it's totally unprepared for, unplanned for, right? So it was a really down moment. It meant that what we built was not valued by the public. But we kept fighting, and we thought that maybe it was not the right channel of promoting. It was not the right list of restaurants. So we kept building. But even after doing it for 2 years, we were still making less than 100,000 baht revenue a month. And we already had like a team of 4 or 5. We have rent, we have marketing costs. We were losing money. And I had like almost no cash left in my bank account. Every month I was working part-time at my university to fund my own startup, but that was also almost going not enough already. So I was deciding that, okay, it's probably time to call it quit. And we tried different approach to pivot from it, but it all hit a wall. Like basically it all didn't move forward. So it was really low time, and none of my partners believed in this all-you-can-eat idea that I wanted to give it another shot for 3 more months. But they basically had no choice because I was a CEO, and I said I wanted 3 more months to try it out, which was right before my honeymoon. I just got married, and I was about to go on honeymoon, and I said 3 more months. If it doesn't work, I come back and I start fresh. Right, and the first month it was doing okay. Second month it was doing very well, and then the third month it took off. And while I was on honeymoon, we kept like growing very fast. And I was like, okay, I'm away for a month and things are still going well. I think it's a sign that I need to come back and do something about it.
So tell me about the scale of Hungry Hub. So you said you have X number of restaurant partners. And tell me a little bit about whether you're regional, whether you're international, whether you're national. How do you plan to scale Hungry Hub?
Today, Hungry Hub, we have 500 restaurants. Our target in 5 years is 10,000 restaurants and definitely beyond Thailand. We wanted to scale past Thailand since last year, but given COVID, obviously we can't expand. Right now, we have in Bangkok, in Phuket, and we're expanding into Pattaya in the coming weeks. So Thailand local expansion wasn't part of the plan, but because of COVID, we needed to test our expansion skills. So we decided that let's test it locally. Even though Hungry Hub, to me, is more of a metro city solution, because our client base are mostly office workers. And as we go second tier cities or third tier cities, there's not much corporate style, and the big group dinings are not as big as Bangkok. So our solution fits better for metro cities. So that's why we're waiting. As soon as the borders open, we'll probably be in Singapore, and in the next 2 years we'll probably be in 3 to 4 cities. Right, so that's the growth plan. Right now, we have about 400,000 monthly active users on our platform, visiting like regularly. Yeah.
Do you look for OPM, other people's money? Do you go to TechSource? Do you go to Series B, Series C? How do you look for money?
Luckily for us, the first 2 rounds of funding were investors approaching us. So we have been in the past, and I would say like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we used to be aggressive, like pitching competitions, events. But then I realized that I'd rather focus on internal. And when we need money, I think we'll go out looking, but we get approached by investors, I would say every couple of months. And our internal investors are already ready to support us as we grow. So not too much concerned about outside funding, but we have raised 2 rounds of outside capital.
But I mean, if I know all the other big startups in town, they have a cash burn rate that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And unless a SPAC or somebody comes along, I know in about an hour we're expecting E2Go's Sid Qatari, and he told me he was telling me the cash burn rate is unbelievable. So you need an ROI, right? And you need growth, and you need to be in other cities in the world. So I'm presuming that you have a business plan.
Yep, definitely. I mean, when we do need to grow to another city, we will need outside capital. But as of today in Thailand, we are somewhat sustainable. So we are breaking even on a monthly basis.
Okay.
We've been running it for a long time. We have been breaking even all along, but every 3 months we push for aggressive growth. And then in the next 3 months, we try to break even. So we've been trying to do this more sustainable. That's why for us, so far, even last year, we grew about 50%, even with COVID.
Fantastic.
Restaurants shutting down, or like overall, we grew our number of restaurants, we grew user base, etc.
Tell me, we are a youth empowerment and peer-to-peer show, and we have a lot of young people out there. And you've gone through quite a struggle. I can't imagine being in the office by yourself, running Hungry Hub. It's not as glamorous as people make it out to be. Tell me a little bit about the struggles and what you can help to advise young people in terms of if and when they graduate from college and they want to start a startup. What are the initial struggles and how did you feel about it? What was your emotional roller coaster?
I mean, for me, I one thing is that you have to not think of starting a company to make money or to be rich. I think most of the time people think like that starting your own company, you can be very rich or you can sell your company. But I think that's not the mindset to be big. But I think the suggestion I would give is really look at the problem. Don't start a company because it's sexy. Don't start a company because everyone's talking about a startup. Start a company if you have a problem to solve, right? And only if you have a problem to solve, then you'll have customers to pay. And make sure that problem is big enough. Don't look at Thailand only. Lucky for us in the Indian community at least, we are more exposed, more global. We've traveled a lot. A lot of Thais, local Thais, some of them have not experienced or lived abroad. They might have traveled for a short period of time, but they might not understand the international mindset or problems that exist in other countries. So I think given that we have all these advantages, and a lot of our Indian in Thailand especially come from a family of entrepreneurship. So I think take that as an advantage and use it. Understand how to solve the problem, how to raise money, and yeah. So for me, I feel like solving a big problem is the first step to starting the company. If you choose the wrong problem, then you're not gonna be able to grow very big.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Surasit?
It's a tough question. I want to be able to spend more time with my family, so I want to build a company that is one regional. Whether or not we sell the company, it's a different question altogether. But I want to start giving back to the community. I want to start maybe going back into investing in startups, coaching, mentoring startups when I have more time, when the company is more on autopilot to a certain extent. So that's what I want to be. I want to be either a coach, a mentor, or possibly running my second company.
I think you'd be an excellent coach mentor because I think that you've gone through the grind and understand what the young people feel. So I want to ask you a little bit about if somebody came to you for a job, right? So he's just graduated from the UK or the US or even from a local university, ABAC, Chula, Thammasat, Mahidol, Inter. Tell me a little bit about what you might look for in a young person, a 23-year-old looking for a job starting at, say, $1,000, you could say.
Starting at 35,000 for a fresh graduate, one is quite high. So I'm not saying I don't accept anyone at 35,000 baht starting, but I would expect that person to have some sort of experience, and some sort of industry experience would be ideal, or if you worked in a startup before, more than an internship, taking out your free time while you were in university, hustling, doing two things at the same time. If you're looking at 35,000, you have to be the top 5% of the graduates.
$35,000, 35,000 baht, $1,150. It's top end, you're saying?
For Thailand university, yes.
Okay.
So I would expect definitely more. I would expect someone who has skills that is not the basic, not the standard marketing or business graduates. I'll probably be expecting someone with either technical experience, whether in product, in graphics, or in video, so more skilled worker, I would say, for that price for a fresh graduate.
Well, what you're saying to me is that the future of the gig economy, the future of the job market is very competitive, and kids have to be multi-skilled maybe.
Yes. So definitely, either you know more than 2 languages that is aligned with the company's growth plan or direction. That can be one benefit. Understanding or have lived in a market that we are looking to explore, expand, or we are in is another benefit. Knowing technical experience like UX, UI, specialized skills is what we look for as well. Something beyond the standard Photoshop and graphic design. So if you have those you tick the box of like specialized skills, then you'll be able to start higher than the other.
Surasit, I want you to explain to the audience a little bit about this new generation of no operating profits and growth based on OPM, other people's money, and then looking for a buyout, a sellout after 5-10 years. I mean, I know our friend Harprem Dua at Frank, which is now called Boltec. He was very successful in expanding his business. And we look forward to him joining the show at a future time. But no operating profits when your father, your grandfather started their business yonks ago. They focus on profits. They focus on real-world profits, which you brought home. And today you're using OPM to scale the business. What if it doesn't succeed? Isn't that sort of a huge disappointment at the end of the road, or is this part of the journey? How do you think this through?
So starting a company, you have to understand the risk that there's only 5% or even 2% that you're gonna be one of the success people. So if you feel like you're here to chill and enjoy, I think this is not the road for you. So if you're here to be the top of the top, to struggle and you're here to win it, then you have some chance. So first of all, you need to have perseverance, because there's going to be a lot of opportunity where you're going to be failing, or you're going to be downsizing, or you're going to be having a hard time. So using other people's money to grow is something that it took me some time to understand as well, even though I'm in the startup economy. But people who believe in you and people who back you, this whole culture of fast growth is because back in the day, people say 10% growth year on year, 20% growth year on year is good enough, right? When you start the company, within the first year, you hit your optimum sales, and then you kind of stabilize yourself there. But when you're going to run a company at 50% or 200% or 1,000% growth, you can't be expecting profit, because you got to be putting in the money you made last month plus a little bit more into this month's marketing expense, and hoping it would still double your sales or triple your sales, which sometimes there are certain situations like COVID, certain situations like you've hit the wall, you've hit the maximum budget. So you got to take a lot of risks in order to grow fast, and some of those risks will not pay out, but you need to be able to balance, right? So the higher the growth rate, the higher the risk, the higher the burn rate, right? So we've take a little bit more balanced approach. We can grow faster, we can burn a lot, but we have to give up a lot of our equity to raise that kind of money. But we'd rather have a full higher ownership, a little slower growth, more sustainable growth, and more assuring growth. Yeah, so that's maybe because it's my first time running it. Second time, it may be a little bit different. But I think at the end of the journey, if you fail, you've built that experience. You've created jobs. You've solved that problem for a lot of your partners. I've helped 500 restaurants be able to offer jobs to that employee throughout the last how many years. I think that's value that it can't be replaced. So the vision that we're building and the problem that we're solving, you have to believe in it. And I think if you really believe in, then failing is part of the journey.
Would you mind, Surasit, through WTF, if somebody had some questions or needed some mentorship, would you mind if they got in touch with you to maybe ask you some questions and see if you can guide them a little bit?
Sure, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, etc. So happy, or even email. I can drop the email somehow.
Thank you so much, Surasit. Surasit, you're the reason people like WTF exists. WTF has a mission statement to help the youth, and I think your struggles in the beginning and the fact that you're frank about it helps people understand that the hill that they have to climb in startups is really something that they need to be prepared to sacrifice, and they need to understand that it's not always about making big money. Is that right?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, you have to sacrifice, because like in the first years, you'll probably be like working day and night on your company alone, or maybe with a few employees. You'll face problems you never faced. Like at 25, when I started the company, first 6 months into my company, one of my employee, her husband, like her boyfriend, just got into a bike accident and passed away one day before my press release. It's something that you cannot control, and if you're working in a corporate, they'll find a solution for you. But these kind of situation, as a young startup founder, situation like this just come to you every day, and you don't know. A lot of times you're unprepared to deal with a lot of rare situations, right? So you have to just be able to make those quick decisions. I think it's like you say, you have to prepare to climb the hill. You gotta prepare for a lot of unknowns, and you gotta be strong.
Surasit, thank you so much for joining the WTF. We have two favors to ask you. One is you're welcome to introduce the next guest to the WTF show.
Okay.
And we value your suggestion. We will also be holding the WTF Youth of the Year Award.
Okay.
So we would like you to nominate later at some point of time a youth aged 20 to 30 years old who you think has brought a positive contribution to our society.
Okay.
Now, before we go, two things. One is we have recently started the WTF Daily Show.
Okay.
On Mondays, we have WTF Radio Show with DJ Rico. Tuesday, we have WTF Investing Show with Direk Karnejau, who's actually doing very well. He's touching 200 to 300 views within 48 hours. So his show is doing really well. We have a parody show by a lovely lady by the name of Shruti Katari. And that show on Wednesdays, it's called WTF Fake It Till You Make It show. That's right. Fake It Till You Make It with Shruti Katari. So I'd like everybody out there to maybe Google that, and you will find it on either Anchor or maybe YouTube. So I hope everybody enjoys the show. Now, before we go, Surasit, I'd like to thank you very much for you to join the show today. I'd like to focus on advice for kids who have a mental challenge, right? I'd like you to advise kids who can't find a job. They can't find jobs, right? They can't find a job, whether they should go to the gig economy, how they should be looking at the future of jobs. How is this going to happen? Because if you started your company and your burn rate, let's say, let's take a crazy figure. Let's say $500,000 in the last 6 years, right? So not everybody has either access to capital or has the confidence to carry this through. So what do you advise new graduates as they come into the workforce about the type of skill sets they need to move forward?
I'd say today's world, in the view of an employer or a person who's looking to hire, given COVID, it makes things a lot harder. So there's more choice for employers. So we look really for top of the line candidates when we can. So I think you need to stand out. And by standing out means you got to build your profile, whether it's through working in similar type of companies, whether it's an internship or it's a full-time job. What I can say is that if the way to growth hack is you might take a low salary in one company to build your profile, prove yourself, because startups are always looking for a little bit of a cheaper resource at times, usually earlier stage startups. So if you are offering yourself for 3 to 6 months at maybe 10, 12,000, 15,000 baht salary, where you are worth more, but you're building...
So like $500 a month, sort of a pittance.
Yeah, but so that your next job, you might jump to 35, 40,000 if you have not already got that relevant experience. So people who see someone who's coming in to work with them and have experience with a company similar to theirs, they value that. Or someone who's in the same industry who brings contacts or relationships, if you're looking at a sales or marketing job. But if you're looking at operations or graphics, then some similar style of company, working culture, would screen and make it attractive. Yeah.
Thank you so much. 20 years of experience rolled into 5. Surasit, Hungry Hub, thank you for coming to the show, and we wish you good luck going into the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Vimol.
Okay, goodbye.
That's it from the WTF Show. Vimol and the team from WTF Show would like to thank all our sponsors. Tune in next week for another great gig with people making a difference to your future. For advertising spots, go to the WTF Show IG page and get more info, or contact Vimol at 6681 616 5987.